When someone dies in Port Moresby, this is where their body comes.
All people may come stop here. Kisimol die blow go one map like repatriate him or sample here, all plan here. Me like me said, me talk here, me come to Gulf, so me back blow me go Gulf.
Mourning families wait patiently to retrieve bodies. The red ribbons indicate a dead body is on board. Services at Port Moresby's only public morgue are at breaking point. Every 6 months, city authorities take mass graves for the hundreds of bodies which get abandoned here. Over 800 bodies ended up in mass graves in the last year alone.
La put him diamond or morgue, own cost when la put him, but arouse him, me blood. But sometimes depend on financial side of families are facing. Some families got money, I'm arouse him body here 1 week or 2 weeks. Some no got money. Able stop maybe averaging 1 month, 2 months, some not money lem, and more carry go mess burial here.
In PNG, we treat death as a special community mourning event. Yet in the capital city, the dead have been neglected. And shedding light on death here isn't easy.
The situation in the morgue might not be a good sight for people outside. So I think that's the whole reason why we're not allowed to go into the morgue or even the hospital premises at this stage.
Part of the problem is the strain placed on families to fulfill their customary obligations to the dead.
Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
At Moresby Theatre, playwright Andrew Kuliniasi is rehearsing for his play about house cry, or House of Crying. It's a custom where families will often drop everything to host mourning ceremonies. They sometimes last for months at considerable expense to the surviving family.
We need to get his body out of the morgue and to a funeral home. You need to start organizing how we carry body to place.
We need to start thinking realistically. We can't even afford any of that.
Why are you being so negative? You of all people should believe that all this is possible, Pastor Braxton. If I had all the money I'm even making, I'd do it for my father.
So For My Father is a play about 4 siblings who all live in Moresby, and their father passes away. And they are faced with the financial burdens of a house cry. Problem is they're poor and they don't have the means to pay for it. When I wrote For My Father, it was off of the heels of my grandfather dying. And it was just hard. It was hard for everybody. And the problem is, well, man, the prices of goods have gone up exponentially. And you have people borrowing money to help put the dead to rest. And I think there is a certain respect and honor that we give to the dead. Does that mean that we get ourselves into bad situations in life for our dead? And my heart breaks every time we do this play because death is so universal.
I'm heading to the suburb of Waigani to meet Russell Kivia. His friend's body ended up in a mass burial 4 years ago.
Me feeling worried and sorry, but I can't do anything. That's why me one time I look into this mass burial now. Me feeling now it's not right. So no, there's some way that you must walk him. Stand up, you walk him where you must stop him. Do away with this mass burial. I think that's our whole idea. We create him as the Lilic Foundation, why we call him Final Journey on Foundation.
Port Moresby attracts migrants from all over the country. When death strikes, it's custom to repatriate bodies back to the villages, but not everyone can afford it. This is where Russell and his band of volunteers are trying to ease the burden.
We give more coffin, donate him coffin to our family members. You go now, okay, me play him one play bus, and to help him transport him body blood. I think so far, I think me must sell him 80 plus bodies finished throughout Papua New Guinea.
When we live still alive, we don't take it serious about looking after. But when it comes to death, PNG, we take it serious.
But Russell wants those in power to do more.
I think all our leaders too must look him also. After all, those people living in the city, even Mama market loss, road informal sectors going through informal sectors, so why seller is not working? But they are taxpayers, after all. Everyone pays tax. Now time all die. We forgot about them.
And something to think about every 6 months. So I'm hoping that this interview catches the eyes of the politicians so that we shed light to the dark and grey and gloomy area of dealing with deaf people.
Leading health sector expert Dr. Sam Yokopua has worked as an advisor to the national government and says previous attempts to tackle overcrowding at the morgue have gone nowhere.
We have focused on living and we let go to death.
Port Moresby General Hospital was designed for a population of 200,000 in 1960, but with the city's inhabitants now swelling to over 1 million, health services have struggled to keep up.
So the morgue has never been increased or extended. It's been the same. They've tried to put in some additional containers, but continually break down. Politicians must take the lead, not only dealing with the health or dealing with the living, but we need to deal with the death. They are okay because they've got the money and they've got the power. What about 99.99% of the people?
The hospital says it has negotiated $15 million in funding from the Indonesian government for a new 500 capacity morgue. But until then, the bottleneck is about to get even worse. This is the 9 Mile Public Cemetery where the mass burials happen, and it is also running out of space.
Nobody will avoid death, but happening is they think that they can avoid death, so they're not prepared for it.
Powis Pakop, governor of the National Capital District, which is responsible for the morgue and the cemetery, has agreed to meet me here for an interview.
We are almost coming to the full end of the land area here. We don't have much more land to go. Maybe 3 or 4 more months or something like that, 6 months at the most. By our culture, we want to give our loved ones a decent burial or decent send-off. It's our pride, our responsibility and obligation. Not many can afford that. So that's why reluctantly they leave their loved one in the morgue and they pile up, and then we have no choice but to do mass burials.
But in a country grappling with many challenges for the living, the dead aren't necessarily front of mind.
Governor, any plans by city authorities or yourself to address that before that reaches that capacity?
Yeah, we've been talking about it, but we have not really made a decisive sort of a decision as to what to do. The options are very limited. I would suggest cremation, because it will really help everybody. The cost will go down. You don't have to repatriate and send a big delegation to go to the village to bury. And when you are ready and you can afford it, you take the ashes to the ancestral land and follow your tradition, and that's when they'll be really at peace.
Every tribe does house cry differently, but often the immediate family carries the financial burden. I've come to meet Anton Poleap, an Mbuke Island community leader and in-law of mine who is doing things a little differently.
Hello, good morning. You're right.
Morning through.
Okay, thank you, Lokam.
Anton coordinates a community-based insurance model which ensures grieving families are looked after financially.
So we must always return to the island. You decide to be buried back on the island, we make every effort to return you back home. Whatever the families put up, they will obviously need more when it comes to repatriating their loved ones in terms of airfares, cost for funeral home and stuff like that.
Anton collects donations from all the other Mbuke families living in Port Moresby to save the grieving family from falling into debt.
Today one family is grieving, another time your family will be grieving. And knowing that you turn up, they also will turn up. Today is your turn, tomorrow will be my turn, and we'll all still be here.
Because you put us in debt.
Put you in debt for a dead man. $5 grand is a lot of money, mate.
Back at Moresby Theatre, Andrew Kuluniasi hopes his play might encourage people to think about death while they're still alive.
We expect our children to bear the burden of when the parents pass away, or even when the grandparents pass away. And we forget that we have to plan for these things. And especially in this economy, when it's just hard to get a job. It's so hard to buy rice and tin fish and sugar. Those are essential house cry needs. How can we better plan for death? How can we break the taboo of talking about death while we're alive so that our children don't have to worry? They can grieve and they can mourn without thinking, how about me straight your line? How about me buy kai kai, house cry, and all that?